Welcome back. Today topic is Android, Google Firebase Cloud and Firebase database. Is Firebase Google Firebase Cloud hosts this Firebase database. The main feature of the Firebase database is stores the data and it synchronizes the data in all connected devices across the platforms. Look at this diagram. It's synchronized the all users of the Android app and also web application. Once you integrate this Firebase cloud and Firebase database in Android, so that we have seen in the initial setup how to integrate this Google Firebase cloud in Android app, and Firebase database we have to include in Gradle. Once it is done, once it is integrated, so this Android app will have the direct reference to the Firebase database, and so we can get the difference to the Firebase database, and through event listeners we get the updated data and we get the data from the Firebase database. So whenever there is event happened on database, and through event listeners we get the data. So, and this Firebase database is no SQL, and it stores in the format of JSON the node parent child relationship, and its structure is JSON structure. There is not SQL structure. Look at here. It stores like this. We have a parent English, and then it will childs or the movies, and this Hindi is parent and Telugu is a parent and child. So it stores the data like this is JSON structure. So we call it as a node or parent, and these are all children's. So the basic structure of the Firebase database is JSON structure, and we read this database by parent and child relationship. So we have a reference. We can have a reference to the Firebase database to the root node, that is, or we can have a reference to the child node, and we can have a reference to the English, this node. So when you have a reference to this node, we will get this. When you have a reference to the root node, we will have the entire snapshot of the database. So this is called snapshot of the database. So through event listeners, Firebase database will gives us the snapshot of the, this is database snapshot of the database. If it is root, it will gives the all the childs under the root as a snapshot of the database, and in that it's like a JSON structure. We will have a key value pairs, and we need to read the database in the Android app. So this is Firebase cloud database is no SQL, only JSON structure. So how to read the database? So we have the Firebase database, the structure is the JSON structure, and how you read the database from the Android app. So we have a reference to the database, okay, that is the reference here. See, this is the way we get the reference. Firebase database guest instance that get reference. Once that we have a reference, we can add listeners. So through these listeners only we get the data from the Firebase database. So we have a listener called value event listener. So when you add this listener, first time when you add it, it gives the entire snapshot of that root, the path we have given here. If it is referring is the root, then it gives the entire snapshot of the database, and here it's called database snapshot. We get here the data, and so through this object we will read the data in the Android app. So look at here, we have a two value events for single value event and add value event listener. So add value event listener, when you add it, it gives the entire snapshot of the database based on the reference, what is the path we have given. If it is English, it will give the snapshot of the English database. And when there is a change in the database, in that event, there is a change in the database, it will give the updated snapshot. So when you add value event listener, it will give, first time it gives the entire snapshot, and next time when there is a change event, then it gives the updated snapshot. But when you registered with add listener for single value event, it calls only, when you add it, it will calls the value event listener, and gives the snapshot of the database, and then removes the listener, and if there is any update, it won't call value event listener. So initially, first we need to have the entire database first. So initially, when your app installing, so we need to have what the data is there in the cloud. So we use this Android for single value listener. So we load the data in Android app. So that is the difference between add value listener and value listener for single value event. And next is this is what today we are going to discuss, this value event listener. And in the single value event listener was already discussed. So this is event listener is child event listener. So when you register for this child event listener, so whenever there is a child added, it calls this callback method and gives the whatever it is, the snapshot of the newly added child. And when it is child changed, and when you update the value in that database, it will give the snapshot of that updated child. And child is removed, when you delete the child, it will give the snapshot of that deleted one. And when child move, we don't discuss in right now, and we'll discuss in separate session. Each value listener will have a separate session. So child move is, we get the database by order by class. When use the order by class, then when you insert it, it will be moved. So that move, it will work there. So on cancel, if Firebase could not connect and this request cannot be processed, it will be cancelled. So that is all about the child event listener. So we can add the listener and we can listen for the events: on child added, on child name, and child removed, and child moved. And one more thing is, when you add it, listener, child event listener, it will calls for the all existing childs under the parent. It will first calls on child added for the all existing child, then only the newly added, it calls for the newly added childs are removed or changed. But first time it calls on child added for all existing child, then onwards when there is a change, corresponding methods will be called: on child added, on child changed, and on child removed. And how to update the database from the Android app? how to update the Firebase database directly from the Android app. So we have a reference. So previously we have seen that we have event listeners. We get when there is an event happened on the database, it gives the snapshot of the database, that is value event listener and add child event listener. So when there is update, it will give the corresponding snapshot of the database. But now I want to update from our Android app directly. We have a reference, so we want to update the database. For that we have a set value and push. The set value is to update the value and push is to add the new child under the parent. So this we will discuss in separate session, how to push and set value, not now. So each value event listener will have a one session and then we will discuss there. So now the topic is, since previous session is we have developed the book ticket movie app with a small requirement, and we have seen how to synchronize the data between the web server and Android app. So since we previous session is that is, and now in this requirement, now I integrate this Firebase database. And what are the changes required in the Android app and what are the changes required in the web app, and how this Firebase, the feature of the Firebase will work for this Android app, how it syncs the data. So we don't need to code for the syncs the data between the web app and Android app users. So Firebase database in cloud will do that. So how it will do and what are the changes is required in our web application and also Android app, we will see this. And that is what Firebase says. And Firebase is, I manage the data, I sync the data across the platforms, and as an Android app developer and web developer, you take care of you code for your app functionality. So how it will be, how data will be in sync, then we will see it in next session.